Hey, you've tuned into Life with Colonel Lee. I am Colonel Lee, and today we're looking at a collapsed tent from a dangerous thunderstorm that just kind of popped out of nowhere. Totally unexpected. Crazy Texas weather in the middle of October. So I'm just kind of walking around the property here, just a little north of Fort Worth, Texas. We had some rough storms last night. We had the storm just kind of popped up out of nowhere, just maybe 30 miles west of our location. By the time they got east, they were producing large tornadoes. So South Dallas, kind of central East Dallas, and some of North Dallas got tore up with some tornadoes. I'll post some pictures that I found on social media from one of the Dallas local news stations that people were sending pictures and things like that into. I won't be able to credit who the pictures came from because they've been shared so many times, and so I wouldn't know who to give credit to, but we'll share them nonetheless. So I really didn't know that when I got this new tent in yesterday that I was going to be setting it up and then storms were going to be coming. I didn't know. I mean, I had no clue there was going to be any storms. I mean, my weather app didn't show storms, and you kind of started seeing, some dark clouds in the distance. So I went to the hourly report, and sure enough, it showed, percentages, chances of rain or whatever, storms. Donkeys. Donkeys. So anyway, I'm not gonna ramble on too much about this, but let me show you the tent here. And I took pictures of it when I first set it up, and then I was leaving it up, so maybe later that day or the following day I would do, my first look video of this tent. But I never got to do it, and then of course it collapsed on me during the storm. So it was holding up pretty well for a while, and it was dry inside. So I know the tent is taped seamed. The seams are taped sealed, but as far as the waterproofing, I really haven't got time to take a look at this tent yet. But I know it's a silicone based, and it's a real thin material. Alright, let's just turn the camera around and take a look. So it's a tent that you use a trekking pole with. It's a tepee tent, and it is a hybrid tent. I'm not going to spend time too much on the details of this tent today because I'm not prepared to do a first look. This was in the very early stages of setting up a tent that I just received, and it was kind of breezy and windy, so I wanted to see how it would do in the wind, especially with the shorter ground pegs. That's a pretty short ground peg there. That's the finger is almost as long as that ground peg. That kind of shows you just how short the ground pegs are. And they only give you 2 guy outlines. So when I set this up, the winds were coming from that direction. So I had the guy outlines you can see there, and then right there. But when the first small line of storms passed, it held up fine. It was dry inside. But then when later that night, I mean like early in the morning, it was really late. Everybody was in bed already. I was not camping in the tent. I was not ready or prepared to do a camping in the storm type of video, because the storms just kind of popped out of nowhere and I wasn't ready for it. So I was just setting up a tent and taking a look at it, and was gonna give y'all a first look at it. So anyway, if we'd have had more guy lines, I could have guyed out those. You can see the guy lines right there, the guy line loops for the tent. But anyway, the winds from the second storm shifted. They're coming basically directly from the west and headed east, and that's the one that ended up producing tornadoes about 20 to 30 miles east of us over in Dallas. All the way from South Dallas, Central Dallas, and North Dallas, they had tornado touchdowns. But the first storms, it was holding up pretty good. About 20-25 mile an hour winds, maybe gust of 30. And this is a hybrid tent. I wasn't gonna get too much detail, but see, it's basically a rain fly, and then anywhere they put some kind of ventilation or a door, they put in the mesh. So this is we're looking at the underside of the tent. This blew up and over, so it's supposed to stretch out this way. So my ground stakes came out, basically flipped over, so which exposed the mesh, and the tent is probably wet inside, I'm sure. So if I had been camping in this tent, you know, it would have collapsed on me, and I would have started getting wet through the little ventilation that runs along the bottom of the tent. But anyway, this is my first experience with the Onetigris, I think it's called Black Orca. It's a hybrid tepee tent. Anyway, I just wanted to share with you, Texas weather, boy, it just pops up. You never know what's going to happen here in Texas. So when you're out camping, this is kind of the stuff that you could expect if you're out camping in Texas, for sure. It could be nice and pleasant. All of a sudden we just get storms, high winds, tornadoes. Oh, and out west of us, about 15 miles west, they were getting golf ball size hail. So by the time it got here, it stopped hailing. And we just basically got wind and rain here at our house. No damage on the property, just some backyard patio furniture flipped over. That's about it. Nothing serious.
Garland was in the path of that tornado on Sunday night. The National Weather Service will have crews there later today looking at damage, and Garland police will increase patrols in the damaged areas in the coming days. So here is what they're dealing with in one neighborhood there. A new warehouse was ripped to shreds, pieces of the building scattered throughout people's yards. One couple there in Garland says they barely avoided disaster.
I mean, it wasn't just blowing, it was swirling. So I hollered at him, and we both made it to the the closet before, the house started shaking.
The city of Garland helped haul away a lot of debris yesterday, including decades.
A powerful tornado touched down in North Texas overnight, causing widespread destruction.
Go in the tornado!
That's terrifying. The tornado ravaged neighborhoods with winds exceeding 110 miles an hour.
Several homes and businesses were destroyed. Many cars were tossed around like toys. Damaging winds uprooted trees and knocked out power.